There is a word that Jesus spoke in his own native tongue, a word so layered with divine frequency that the moment it leaves your lips, something ancient stirs inside you. This is not a word you will find printed in Sunday bulletins. This is not a concept discussed in seminary classrooms or read from cathedral pulpits. What you are about to encounter was never meant to be hidden. And yet, for centuries, it was buried beneath layers of translation, interpretation, and institutional silence. Jesus did not speak in the polished Latin of emperors or the ceremonial Greek of philosophers. He spoke Aramaic, a living, breathing, vibrational language in which every word carries a field of meaning so vast that a single syllable can contain what English needs an entire paragraph to approximate. When he spoke of being full, truly full, he was not describing the feeling after a meal. He was pointing to something that the soul has been reaching toward since the moment it entered this body. Religion gave you rituals, religion gave you rules, but it quietly left out the original sounds, the actual frequencies that Jesus used when he spoke of wholeness, completeness, and divine restoration. And today, that changes. What you are about to hear has the power to unlock something in you that has been waiting quietly, persistently, for this exact moment. Stay with this until the very end, because what I am about to reveal will not just inform you, it will transform you. There is a reason you have always felt that something was missing. Not in your circumstances, not in your relationships, but somewhere deeper, somewhere that comfort could not reach and success could not fill. That feeling has a name in the language of Jesus. It has a sound, and that sound, when properly understood and activated, carries the power to restore what has been fragmented inside you since long before you were aware of the loss. Jesus was born into an Aramaic-speaking world. Every conversation he had, every teaching he delivered, every prayer he breathed, all of it happened first in Aramaic. When he spoke to the woman at the well about living water, the word he used was not merely poetic. In Aramaic, the concept of living water carries a resonance tied directly to the principle of divine fullness, the idea that there is a source within the human being that onse accede never runs dry. Religion translated this into doctrine. But doctrine cannot vibrate. Doctrine cannot enter the nervous system the way a sacred sound can. The ancient teachers who walked with Jesus understood that language was not just communication, it was creation. When they spoke, they were not simply conveying information. They were activating fields of energy that corresponded to spiritual realities. This is why Jesus spoke in the way he spoke. This is why he used specific words in specific moments. Each word was a key. Each sound was a doorway, and the doorway he opened most consistently was the one that leads to what Aramaic calls shlama, a word that goes far beyond the English translation of peace, reaching into the very architecture of completeness itself. The word shlama is one of the most frequently misunderstood gifts that Jesus left embedded in the teachings that survived centuries of institutional filtering. In the Aramaic world of Jesus, shlama did not mean the absence of conflict. It did not mean the temporary calm that follows a storm. Shlema meant wholeness, an unbroken, undivided state of being in which every part of the self is returned to its original divine design. When Jesus said, "Peace be with you," he was not offering a polite farewell. He was speaking shlama into the energy field of the people standing before him. He was activating a frequency that the human system was designed to receive and integrate. Think of what it means to be truly whole. Not healed from a single wound, but restored across every dimension, physically, emotionally, spiritually. That is the world that shlama inhabit. That is the promise that Jesus was delivering every single time he used it. Religion reduced this to a blessing spoken at the end of a service. But the original teaching was something far more radical and far more personal. Shlama was not given as a concept to believe. It was given as a frequency to embody. When you speak shlama loud, when your vocal cords, your breath, your intention aligned with the ancient sound that Jesus used, you are not reciting a prayer. You are issuing a command to your own inner architecture. You are calling your scattered parts back into coherence. You are doing exactly what Jesus demonstrated was possible for every human being who dared to receive it. Understanding these frequencies is the first step, but mastering their vibration in your daily life is where the true miracle happens. I receive many messages asking for the correct pronunciation and sequence of these sounds, so I have prepared 2 sacred guides to help you bridge this gap. You can find the link pinned in the comments to begin your practical journey today. And the best is yet to come. In the next chapters, you will discover what can change everything for you. Now we arrive at a teaching that Jesus delivered in a moment of extraordinary intimacy, one that has been present in the scriptures all along, yet consistently overlooked by those who read the translated versions without understanding what was lost in the transfer from Aramaic to Greek, from Greek to Latin, and from Latin into the modern languages that most of the world now reads. The second Aramaic word that carries the frequency of restoration is ruka, the word that Jesus used for the animating force within every human being, the word that was translated imperfectly as spirit. But ruka in Aramaic is not a theological abstraction. Ruka is the breath that moves. It is the invisible river of divine energy that flows through the body when the soul is aligned with its source. Jesus taught that ruka is not something you earn through behavior or belief. It is something you already carry. The journey is not one of acquisition, it is one of remembrance. When ruka is blocked through fear, through grief, through the relentless pressure of a world that never stops demanding, the result is the very kind of inner emptiness that so many people describe but cannot name. Religion called this spiritual dryness. Psychology calls it depletion. But Jesus called it the temporary interruption of ruka. And he had a method for restoring it. A method rooted not in ritual compliance, but in direct, personal, vibrational contact with the source of life itself. This is the teaching that changes everything once it is truly received. The method that Jesus used to restore ruka was not complicated. It was not reserved for priests, prophets, or those who'd spent decades in study. The method was breath, intention, and sound, applied together in a state of interior stillness that Jesus described as entering the inner room. When he taught his followers to pray, he was not primarily teaching them words to recite. He was teaching them an approach, a way of moving inward, past the noise, past the performance, past the desperate wish to be seen and approved of, and into the quiet place where ruka moves freely. In Aramaic spiritual practice, this inward movement was facilitated by the third sacred word, a bwoon. The word that Jesus used at the very beginning of the prayer that religion turned into a recitation but was originally a living encounter. Abun does not simply mean our Father. In Aramaic, the word breaks open into a field of meaning that points to the creative source of all existence, a source that breathes itself into being through every living thing. When Jesus spoke Abun, he was not addressing a distant authority. He was calling out to the very principle of life that lives within the breath itself. He was teaching his followers that they were not separated from the divine by their failures or their questions or their doubts. They were connected always, permanently, by the same breath that first gave them life. This is the truth that the Aramaic language preserved. This is the truth that direct encounter with the sacred sounds of Jesus can restore in your own body and your own being today. If this teaching is stirring a deep resonance in your heart, it is a sign that your soul is ready to return to its original blueprint. To support you in this transition, my guides explain the layers of meaning behind the first sacred words, offering you a path to clear the interference of the world. The link to access these tools is waiting for you in the pinned comment. The woman who had been bent over for 18 years and straightened in an instant. The man beside the pool at Bethesda who had been waiting for someone to help him into the water. The countless unnamed people in the crowds who came broken and left restored. In every one of these moments, what Jesus was demonstrating was not a supernatural exception to the rules of reality. He was demonstrating what reality looks like when divine fullness shlama is fully received by a human being whose channels are open. The teaching hidden beneath every one of these encounters is the same. Wholeness is not a reward for the worthy. It is the original state of every person ever born. The problem has never been a lack of divine supply. The problem has been interference, the accumulated noise of trauma, doubt, fear, and the slow erosion of a culture that disconnected human beings from the sacred sounds that keep them whole. Jesus came, among other reasons, to restore that connection, and he did it by speaking, by breathing, by using the Aramaic language the way it was designed to be used as a living bridge between the human being and the divine. Every sound he made was an act of restoration. Every word he chose was a frequency aimed precisely at what was fractured inside the people before him. That same frequency is available to you right now. Sacred transformation practice. This is your moment of practice. You do not need to be in a sacred place. You do not need to be free of doubt. You only need to be willing to receive. Begin by placing one hand over your heart and one hand over your abdomen. Feel your breath moving beneath your hands. Allow your body to become still. Now, inhale slowly and deeply. As you exhale, speak this sound aloud. SHLAMA pronounced SH. Feel the sound travel through your chest. This is the frequency of wholeness. Speak it again. Let it settle into your body as a living instruction, not just a word. Now, inhale again, this time as you exhale. Speak, Ruka pronounced. Ruka, this is the breath of divine life moving through you. Speak it slowly. Feel the movement it creates in your inner space. Finally, inhale once more. This time deeper than before. As you exhale with full intention, speak Abuin, pronounced Abu. You are calling the creative source of all life into the room of your own being. Receive it. You have just made contact with the living frequency that Jesus used to restore wholeness in every person he encountered. This is not a ritual. This is a return. Practice this sequence every morning for 7 days and pay close attention to what shifts in your awareness, your body, and the circumstances around you. Visit Divine Light Academy at the link below to access my complete guides and start your journey into the living language of the Masters. But before you go, I want to hear from you. What did you feel during this session? Comment the word restoration below if you felt a shift in your energy today. We read every response, and your testimony strengthens this entire community of light. We are just scratching the surface of this ancient power. Get ready, because in our next video, I will reveal even deeper Aramaic codes that unlock spiritual authority you've never imagined. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss this unfolding revelation. Right now, before you close this video, come to the comments and tell us. What did you feel? What shifted? We read every single response, and if this teaching found you today, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we go deeper into the ancient frequency codes that were always meant to be yours.